everyone around me was like, what? Like you're doing such a great job. Everyone loves you. Like you've got, you've spent so much time at these companies. And there was something inside of me that was like, you must go to the East Coast and figure it out. So
Right.
that's what I did. I moved to the East Coast with 2 suitcases. And the first week I was trying to find an apartment. I found an apartment with just like a mattress on the ground, slept there for a couple of weeks until I slowly started to get more stuff. And I started my first company, which was a CBD infused tea company.
Okay, that was your first brand?
That was my first brand. Yeah. And the reason why is because I had really, really bad anxiety. And so I started taking CBD to help with my own anxiety. And especially at this time, I mean, going to a completely new city, knowing nobody, not really knowing what I'm going to do with my life, to be honest, and just really using the supplement to really help me sleep, all of this stuff. So then I thought to myself, there must be a better way to take this. They have the drops and there's other forms of taking CBD. But I was like, I really love tea. I love digestion. I love all of that. How can I mix something all in one that will feel really good and not have a bunch of fillers and stuff like that in it? So that was my first journey into entrepreneurship.
That's awesome. What happened with that company?
So I ran that company for almost 2 years. And then I decided that I needed to take a different direction. I just there wasn't that passion with it anymore. It was running into a lot of roadblocks, and there was, in Canada, there's a lot of problems with the CBD market at that time and online sales and all of this stuff. And so I had a decision whether I wanted to get my license, which I actually got my license to grow. We have some farm space in Canada, and kind of go along that route with growing and then manufacturing and all that, or just focus on something else. So I decided to switch directions and to start a beauty company.
Okay.
Then I started a beauty company, did that for about 6 months, and then started what I do now.
Some bold moves you're making.
Yeah.
I mean, moving to across the country to a new city where you don't know anybody, not sure what you want to do, and having like the courage and to just step into it and start a new company like that. That's awesome. What does it mean to you to be bold? Because you speak to women a lot and say, be bold on your website.
Yeah. So be bold to me really means, first of all, having an idea of what it is that you want to accomplish, what it is that you want to stand for. Because if you don't know, I mean, we all kind of have that idea, that path, right? But it never goes the way that you think it's going to go. Sometimes it goes better. But to be bold is to really think to yourself, like, what it is that you want to be known for, what it is that you want to leave in this world, and to figure out a way to take steps to get there.
That's cool. I think you have a guide that helps people with that, the 5 steps to build your online brand.
Mm-hmm.
I was checking that out. It sounds like you help people kind of figure out their passion and kind of sort through some of this introspective feelings that you got to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
Start your brand. So where can they grab that?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's michellekavanagh.com, and there's the free guide just on there. And I mean, with any kind of brand, any kind of company that you want to start now, there really needs to be that true why. And so before you even go into selling, into creating, into all that, you need to think of like, why is it that you are starting this brand? Because there are a ton of different companies out there. And the thing is it will never be saturated when you have your story attached to it. So that's something that I like to start off with my clients, is really asking those deep questions and thinking to yourself, okay, like maybe these are things you've never even thought of, but you can incorporate somehow into your brand story.
So you usually hear experts telling you to follow your passion, but I saw you had a meme on your page that said, don't follow your passion, follow your pain. What is that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So passion can come and go. Great example is my tea company. I was super passionate about it. And then as time went on, I lost passion. For me, it's really about thinking to yourself, what makes you really angry? And if you're thinking about starting a business, right now, maybe it's a service-based business or a product, what is it that you were talking to your friends about, at dinner? What is it that you want to stand for, that you maybe want to volunteer for, or that you're putting your dollars towards, just when no one's really watching? Because there's so many clues in that, thinking what makes you really angry. Like for me, it's really helping young women develop confidence at a very young age. I'm talking like teenage years, because I know for me, I had such low confidence when I was a teenager. I didn't really have role models. I didn't really have mentors to look up to. I had a brother who had a drug addiction. I had another brother who had a lung condition. And so my parents were very occupied with them. And so for a lot of my teenage years, I felt pretty alone. And so I think that it's super important to have that support and that confidence as a young woman. So that really pains me. So any way that I can help now develop confidence in men or women is really my pain and my why for what I
just got goosebumps, which might sound funny, but I have a daughter, and I just know how important it is to speak life into her and build her up and praise her. And one of my favorite books actually is Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters by Meg Meeker. I don't know if you've read that, but just talking about how important it is to build into their identity and their self-esteem so they don't resort to drugs and other boys and things too early when it's not time. Well, never time for drugs, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
So what I like to start off with is, asking a little bit about them. So building a little bit of rapport. So maybe they've got a really cute Frenchie in their profile, and you love Frenchies because you used to babysit one of your friend's dogs, and his name was Rocco, and whatever else, right? And so you're building that rapport with the person, and they're like, yeah, you checked out my page, you see that I have a dog, that's really cool. So compliment and say why you're complimenting. Then that's it. Then that's all you do. You don't continue to talk about, the weather in Miami or your favorite restaurants or all this stuff. You have your one solid compliment and you move on. So then the next question would be something along the lines of how is your business going? I notice you are a XYZ. How is it going? How long have you been in business for? So you want to make sure that you acknowledge the fact that you see what they do on their profile and just be curious. And so then what happens is then they get into, I've been in this industry for the last 5 years. Things are, going a bit slow or not so great. And then basically you would comment on that and ask more questions. And so I think a lot of the times people start to go into relating stories. So maybe if I've been in business for the same amount of time as this person, I go into yeah, that happened to me too. And there's this connection based on experience. But as the expert, you always want to be the person asking the questions. So inquiring more and more and more and getting them to really get to the bottom of the core of their issues or the obstacles or whatever it is that they're going through. So after you've uncovered all that good stuff, then simply asking them if they need help.
I mean, what mistakes do you hear or objections? Let's overcome some common objections. Isn't one of the most common ones you hear? I'm speaking for you here. Sorry. I mean, the spouse card. Don't people always say, "Let me check," or it's not like they need permission, but they want to talk it over, right?
Yeah, the spouse card is a big one. The "let me think about it" is a big one also. Time, money. Those are the major ones as far as why people can't make decisions right then and there. And you know what? A lot of the times objections are not, displaying the value of the program, of the product. They don't understand the worth of it. And so if you get an objection to anything, really, it's that they're not sold on your product or your idea. And so it's about backtracking and figuring out why and what that could be. And so this process can be a bit tricky sometimes because what you're trying to do is isolate. So someone may say they don't have time, but really they don't want to pay $5,000 for it. And so it's really getting to the root of, okay, so if it's a money thing, let's think of how we can set up a payment plan, or let's think of how we can get you started and then figure it out later or whatever. But you need to know what exactly it is to pinpoint it.
Sure. And
So
sometimes
that,
I might say something and that's not the root cause. I might
yeah,
say I
exactly.
don't have time, but it's an excuse. It's
Yeah,
getting really figuring out what the real objection is.
definitely. And a good way to do this is before you ever get on the call with someone, before you ever get into that, is to set up a really good questionnaire and basically bust any objections that you can think of. And so, if it's a spouse, are you the decision maker? And so if you ask that question and, they say, yes, but I need to talk to my husband, my wife, whatever it might be, invite them to be on the call as well.
It's a good idea.
So by inviting that other person, the business partner, whoever it might be that has influence, then you have everyone in the meeting, in the room together. So depending on what it is that you're selling, there's ways to go around it. If it's the money thing, say up front, do you have 1,000 to 5,000 to invest in your business for coaching? No, I only have $50. Okay, well, this isn't going to be a good fit, right? So it's, I think the biggest thing about sales is people think that it's like slimy and salesy and it doesn't feel good and then people are getting tricked and all this stuff. And it's like, it might have been back in the day, or depending on the industry, it still might be a bit like feeling like that. But I like to look at sales as you are honestly offering a solution to someone's pain, to someone's problem. And so if you switch your mindset to think of it like that, it becomes a lot more fun and more enjoyable.
Especially when you know what you have can help them. You're actually doing them a disservice by not helping them and not convincing them what the value is, because you're going to help their business.
You bet.
And help them get to a better spot.
Yeah.
I remember used to do gym sales back in the day, and we'd ask them ahead of time, does your spouse support your like health and fitness goals? Do they want you to get in shape? That'd be before the tour even starts. And then they say yes. And then at the end, when they're like, oh, I got to go talk to my husband or wife. And I'm like, I thought you said they supported your health goals. Don't you think they'd be happy that you did this? Plus we have the money back guarantee. So if for some reason it's a problem, you can come back, get your money back tomorrow.
Yeah.
It seems like you could use Instagram for that too. Like I doubt every post you do is tips and DM me. Like there's got to be other things that kind of create the know, like, and trust, where they've been following you for a while. Maybe it took a few months before they're ready to actually message you. They feel like they know you. They've seen other success stories and clients that have done well, and you kind of build that relationship and that trust over time. So when you do actually talk to them, they know you a little bit more than you know them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you look at your content, I like to think of content like a house. So your house has the different walls, the floors, everything that goes into keeping a house up, right? And so when you're first thinking of your brand, you want to think of what are my 5 to 7 pieces of my house. And so that might be inspiration, that might be social proof, that might be, tips and tricks, hacks, all of these things. And so then what you do is you don't go outside of your house. And so then you have your content categories. And so typically on Monday mornings, people need a little inspiration. They need a little bit of like, oh, I ate too much on the weekend. I feel like crap. I don't want to work, for the next 5 days straight or whatever it might be. And so hitting them with some kind of inspiration and just to really feel like, wow, they understand me. How did you know what I was thinking? So if you can create content in that way to really connect, people build that know, like, and trust with you so much. I'm going to get surgery in Costa Rica. I don't know if I mentioned that to you at the dinner, but I'm going to get my implants removed. And I shared my story. I have a Instagram page that I'm creating, and it's all about my journey to removing my implants. And I share about, breast implant illness and all of these things. And it was amazing how many people reached out to me and, said like, I'm going through the same thing, like keep me up to date, and really just being there. And really just has nothing to do with my business, my agenda, but it's just being that human. It's humanizing myself to connect with people and to also be a resource for other women whose health is lacking. and really just being there and being vulnerable and sharing my story to go out there. So if you've got something where you maybe don't feel like it's in that house, but it's going to help you connect with people through a story, through something that you're going through, feel free to share that, because you will be amazed at how many people gravitate towards you. And, maybe they use your services or products later on in life, or end up recommending you to someone just because they feel that connection to you.
Right. I was saying you're being vulnerable there, and it's just being real.
Mm-hmm.
Where when a lot of us look at social media, we think of everyone putting up their fake life, all the highlight reels, everything that's amazing. And then people that spend too much time on social media, they can start to compare themselves to someone else when you got two completely different journeys, and wind up getting anxiety over, what other people are doing or not doing. So it's refreshing actually to when people share things that are going on for real in their life, being vulnerable, being real. I think that really helps with the connection. I would love following something where somebody's sharing something real about their life versus just showing all their vacation pics and celebrities they met and everything else,
Yeah, definitely. And I always think to myself, you're comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10, right? And so everything that you see, someone's accomplished, maybe they've hit a certain milestone in their career, and you're like, why not me? It's like, it's okay. Like, they haven't shared everything up until that, right? And so just to really step back and to remind yourself and to take control of your social media consumption, and not to let it take control of you, is a big one.
It's a great tip. And sometimes it's not the whole story. It's a snapshot of something, like the happy family picture. But maybe you don't know what happened earlier that day when everyone was fighting in Craig.
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely.
So what else do you do for your content? Do you mind sharing that a little? You said Monday was inspiration. I feel like we're just getting all your info right here. So thanks so much for sharing this. It's like,
I like
that's
to
another
give
tip.
as much
Give away
as
your
I
best
can.
info. Give your best info away for free. And people are like, wow, what do they have in the course if they're giving this away for free?
Yeah, definitely. I got a few other tricks up my sleeve, so we're okay.
Nice.
As far as content goes, so, I like to do a mixture of videos and static posts, and then I add in some text, Twitter type posts, the one that you saw about the passion and pain. I like to mix it up because people like to consume content differently.